So,
We're
welcome
super
to the
excited.
Magic Word. It is Friday, and we are ready to have a great conversation. For those of you who don't know, I am Mrs. Dr. Lupo.
And I'm Sam, and we're going to be talking about parenting and gaming today.
It's going to be
Super
a
excited.
super fun conversation. We have a really great guest, Clintus. We're going to bring him on here in just a minute so he can talk a little bit about himself and who he is and what he does. But overall, you have tons of parenting conversations that are happening
Yeah.
all over streaming and Twitch. We both have been part of two together, one in
Mhm.
person at TwitchCon and one also online. But we've also both been interviewed and stuff like that for podcasts
Yeah.
many a times and talked about it, especially on our channel. Aren't we both technically Sam?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we are both technically. Okay, we're just trying to let you know that we have usernames and in case you don't want to be like, no, Sam, but like, I mean, that's Sam.
So, without further ado, should we bring our guest in?
We should. Are you ready, Clintus?
You ready? All right, let's do a
All
little.
right.
I like your finger snap. Do your finger
All
snap
right. All right.
again.
All right. Let's do three, two, one, and then go.
Okay.
All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Yay! Hello!
Hello there.
We did it. That was really cool.
Magical.
Yeah, here we go. Are you up here for me? Is this the way?
I
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
look
yeah.
at my mic. That's how I know.
I just don't know what I'm looking at.
I feel
welcome,
like this.
welcome,
Hi, hi.
Clintus,
You're like magic.
to the Magic Word. Thanks for joining us. I don't know if you know, you are our first male guest.
Ooh,
You
I'm
are.
privileged, honored.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I know the mic was hot a little earlier, so I'll talk louder.
I
I'll
just
talk
turned you up a
normal.
little bit too. So
Okay.
hopefully that works. So welcome. Gaming and parenting. You're a streamer. You are also a parent. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do in gaming and streaming, and also a little bit about your family if you feel comfortable.
Absolutely. So I'm a very open book. Prior to streaming, I was a daily life vlogger on YouTube. That's actually what was allowed me to quit my job and do content creation full time. So for about 6 years, I vlogged every single day of my life, and in my family's life. I have a 16-year-old daughter and he'll be 14 next week. 14-year-old son, and their lives, the early years are pretty much all on YouTube. My son Bryce, his birth is one of the earliest birth videos. Like I don't show the graphic stuff, but the whole, my wife walking the halls and giving updates at 2 a.m. That's on YouTube. It's previously from HD, so it's like the bars on the sides. It's so old. So I've been doing a lot of that, sharing my life forever. But after I quit my job to do YouTube, I started streaming because video games has always been a hobby of mine. I don't really watch a lot of TV. I love movies, but video games has always been my hobby. So I found Twitch and started kind of dabbling with that. But YouTube gaming launched around that time that I was looking at getting into streaming. So I actually did 2 years of YouTube gaming there, and eventually moved to Twitch, and I'm coming up on my 4-year partner anniversary. So total 6 years of streaming. But like I said, I've been doing content creation. My YouTube channel actually will be 15 years old this summer.
That's
Holy
so
heck.
crazy.
That's like an OG account.
Yeah.
Yep.
How old is YouTube in the first place?
16 years. So my channel, 2005 is when YouTube kind of like came out and like was a thing. I created my account in 2006, and at first I was, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but I went to school for video production. So I was like making movies and doing like production work. So I used YouTube as like here's like my trailers and my music videos. And if you go back to my channel, like the oldest videos are some of those early pieces are just super cringeworthy, like super bad. But yeah, that's how it started. And then 2007 is when I kind of found vlogs, and like the very first vlog I ever saw was literally a guy walking around his backyard with his laptop. Like he's walking around with his laptop and he's vlogging through his webcam that's built into the iMac. And I was like, wait, this guy's just talking? Like I had a blog and I was like writing blogs, but even like Twitter, like I'll write a tweet and I'll like read it like 1,000 times and edit it, and eventually comes down to like one word, and then like, never mind, I'm just gonna delete it. That was my blog, because I'd write this big long blog post, and after editing it, it would come down to this little thing, and eventually it was like, it's not even worth posting anymore. but I like talking. I'm very, as you can see with my hands. I'm sorry, I talk with my hands. I'm
I do
very
too.
yeah. Yeah. So I'd rather talk than type. So when I realized that people were interested in video blogs, I was like, I would rather just talk than type. So I started video blogging, and it started like this. I had a webcam, but then I bought like a camcorder and put that on my desk with a tripod and hit the record button. And this is back when there was mini DV tapes, and you have to like import the footage. And so yeah, yeah.
Oh
That's
my
so.
gosh.
I knew you'd been around for a long time, but I don't think that I really understood the scope of how long. You said 2005 is when YouTube started.
Mhm.
It blows my mind that I did not have YouTube in high school. I was a
Yeah.
sophomore in college when YouTube came around.
Yep.
But it's just been around for so long that I don't remember not having it.
Yeah. Well, and then our kids obviously are growing up with it.
Mhm.
And I've
Yeah.
seen multiple generations. Like a lot of the real hot YouTube stars right now, they grew up with YouTube in their like middle school, high school years. So now that they're out of high school, they're like the big stars, or now they're in their 20s because they watched our generation start kind of paving that way. And then you got, like I said, now you got our kids that literally they don't watch TV, they watch YouTube, or
Yeah.
now TikTok, or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
the thing is. Their media is consumed online.
That's so.
They'll never have to understand what it's like to do a quick pee break during a commercial and then jump over
Nope.
the couch and make sure you
Yeah.
make it in time. They'll
Or
never know.
or
Yep.
holding up the boombox to the radio so hopefully you can record your song and the radio DJ does not talk over the end of the song. That always pissed me off.
Yep.
Did y'all ever like you would play a song to write down the lyrics because you couldn't Google lyrics, and then so you would like pause it, write that line, start it again,
Oh, yeah.
listen, pause it,
Rewind,
write
yep.
that line.
I'm
Yeah, rewind. Oh no, I
obsessed
missed that word.
with The Lion King, and when I got the Lion King movie for Easter one year, I wanted the soundtrack. My parents they told me I couldn't get it, so I played the movie and held up my tape recorder to the speaker so I could get the soundtrack of the movie onto a cassette tape. So like
Everyone's like, wow, they're old.
on Circle of Life, you have all of the little sound effects that aren't in the actual song. So like Simba's sneeze and stuff like that are all a part of it. Oh my gosh, they're so crazy. So Clintus, then was content creation. You said you went to school for like video and stuff like that. What did you want to be when you grew up?
So in elementary school, I fell in love with plants. You kind of see over my shoulder here. I have a plant stand up on the wall. But I wanted to be a botanist when I was like in fourth grade. Like that was what I wanted to be. I wanted to learn about plants and biology and that sort of thing. And then as I got into like high school, I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go to college. I wasn't really a big fan of school. I went for the social aspect. I'm definitely a social. I used to call myself a social puddle jumper, not a butterfly, because gotta be all masculine or whatever, right? But I was like, I'm a social puddle jumper, because I love interacting and being social. So school for me was a social thing. Senior year, we went on a field trip to the college I ended up going to, and they taught me how to make a 3D model of a garden hose and make water come out, like particle effects, hit the wall and bounce off the wall. And I immediately was like, I want to go to school for this. I want to learn this. How do you do this? And so I came home and told my parents. We came to the school for a tour, gave them the $100, and I signed up. And 6 weeks after I graduated high school, I went to college because the school was year round. It wasn't just like a traditional 2-semester school. So I originally went to college for like 3D animation, and I did that for about a year and a half. And then they started their video program, and I did video production in high school. I did yearbook. I was the sports editor for yearbook, and then I was the editor in chief for the video yearbook, the media productions. And I just loved editing video, and specifically, I love editing video to music. And so, as I changed my major and was continuing through college, I guess my dream job was to make either music videos or movie trailers. Not even the movies, but just the movie trailers. Like I wanted to be the guy that like they dumped a bunch of footage on my desk and said, make us a funny one, a sad one, an action one. And like I made little things. I loved doing that. Even in high school, I'd make little my friends would go out and record a bunch of video, and then I'd make a little 60-second, 2-minute video just of action, like a trailer. And it was like the movies never came out, but it was like coming soon. It was never, it was just I just made movie trailers.
Yeah,
I just
in a
loved that.
world.
Exactly,
I always made TV shows with my friend. So we would use like Mario Paint, and we had a news show, and we would use Mario Paint to create the backgrounds of our news that we were talking about. Or we would do cooking shows, and we would set up the camcorder on the huge tripod, make sure that we had enough tape. Then we would sit there and we would like bake cookies or something like that. And we would always then go through, and obviously you can't really edit tape like that as easily. So we would then go through and watch part of it, and we're like, oh, that part didn't do good. So we would rewind it a little bit and try to like find the spot. So it'd be like, today we're making cookies and stuff like that. And yeah, I agree with you. Like doing any of that creative video editing type stuff is it's so fun.
Absolutely.
And obviously then that got you to doing your vlogs, like, because you were already knowledgeable enough to do that.
Yeah, after college, I started working on productions. I was a PA. I was a first assistant director. I got my first editing gig, and I edited a vampire movie. The trailers are still on my channel. It's called Vampire Slayers. It is atrocious.
I'm looking for that later.
Yeah, it's the guys I was working with, their whole goal was not to like make it big. They basically, it's the same philosophy I live with now with my streaming world, and I know we'll touch on that later. But like, they just wanted to like make enough money to live and continue doing what they wanted to do on their own terms, be their own boss. So they were like aiming for like the B films, like back if you guys remember Blockbuster Video and Hollywood Video, the new releases were on the outside, and all the like older movies and the B films were in the middle, right? And so their goal was just to get in the middle of the store. Like they weren't looking to make the big blockbuster movies. They just wanted to make straight to DVD horror flicks, right? And so it was all about the blood and the gore. So like you watch these trailers, it was like they made me throw in anytime there's blood on the screen, put it in the trailer. Like it's gotta be as gory as possible. So you're watching this, it's just horrible. Like, you you don't see any voice lines or acting. It's just like chop, cut, slice, blood, but yeah, that's why I started doing the movies and movie trailers and stuff like that. And like I said, I found YouTube, and I started putting my work there. And my wife and I, we met in high school, all through college. We bought a house, built our first house, and then got married. And then the last day of college, my last day of school, we found out we were pregnant with our first kid. So it's like very, very storybook. Like we did this, then we did this, then we did this, and so first year of being a parent and owning a home, the company that I quit my job to go work for went under after like 3 months, like this studio here in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I was like, okay, well now I have to go back to find a job. And somebody said, this was, I guess this was like around 2006, home equity was through the roof. Right. And we had almost doubled what our house was worth. So someone suggested like, hey, why don't you take like a loan out on your home and like go full time on this movie thing and make it happen. Right. And of course we're young, and our parents are like, yeah, you're young. Even, it doesn't work out. You have plenty of time to recover. And so that's what we did. We took a second mortgage out, or a line of credit out on our home. And we lived off of that while I worked with these guys on these movies. And we did a couple other movies. We worked on other people's movies. They hired us to do that stuff. So I like shot other people's movies and stuff, which I do have an IMDb credit. So I have I do have a nice list of accolades. But after a year, it didn't work out. And I'm like, okay, I've got a mortgage, I've got a kid, we've got a car payment. I have to go back to work. These guys are like, we're going to go to Texas and continue doing our thing. I'm like, good luck. I can't go with you. Like, I can't just, leave my family. So I went back to the 9 to 5, and, that was kind of like my plan B. I'm going to continue doing the movie stuff, but plan B is like, if it doesn't work out, I'm make a career in this corporate world. And I really did enjoy my previous employer, and I was there for 9 years, but that's when the social media kind of started popping up around, right? Like 2007, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram was 2008, I think. And that's when I realized that, wait a minute, I made this movie and I sent out 50 DVDs, and I have no idea if anyone ever watched our movie or our trailer or anything. We got one response out of all those people, like, hey, we watched it, not really for us. Thanks. Have a nice day. But when I post a video on YouTube, I can actually see people watched it. I get 5-star, I can get star ratings if they liked it or not. Back in the day, those were stars, not thumbs up and thumbs downs.
Yeah.
And you can get comments. And I was like, this is amazing. Like instant gratification, not even instant gratification, just knowing that someone actually took the time to watch it.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized shifting over to this and focusing on that and started consuming all the YouTube I could. And there were other sites out there too back then. Blip TV and Vidler were two big ones. They each had their own feature sets and whatnot. So I kind of really immersed myself into that world. And that's kind of how I got into what is now, social media.
Yeah. How old were your kids then when you started streaming? Because you said that you started YouTube when they were very little, but how,
Correct.
like live streaming, how old? So I guess YouTube gaming.
Yeah. So my daughter would have been 10, and so my son would have been like 8-ish.
Okay.
Because like I said, we'd been doing daily vlogging prior to that, and was doing well enough that's like I was able to quit my job. And that extra free time as I started streaming while they were in school.
Yeah.
Get the vlog out, and then I'd kick on YouTube gaming for 2 hours, 3 hours, and then I started going to 4 and 5. I'm like, whoa, I'm actually doing a whole full day of streaming, kind of thing.
What was the
Oh,
beginning of streaming like for you as a parent?
Um,
That juggle.
yeah, well, again, I was lucky. I did it while they were in school, so I didn't really it really wasn't having to pick and choose a whole lot. They get off to school. My wife, after I quit my job, about 6 months after that, she quit her job. So she was full-time mom, full-time, and that's all she wanted to be when she was when we were in school. I was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? She's like, I just want to be a mom. Like, that was literally her dream job. And so we are living our dream jobs, so to speak. I'm doing video production, whether it's live or recorded every day, and she's a mom every day. So um I didn't really have to do a
Oh,
whole lot of moving around. The only time that things really were different, and because again at the time, even then, vlogging was still my main income source and main content. The vlog wasn't the first priority. Oh, sorry guys, no stream today because of this, and it was because of YouTube, or because the kids had something going on. It wasn't until much later, probably about 4 years ago, when I moved to Twitch, that the gear started shifting a little bit to, okay, now YouTube and Twitch are about the same. And then as time progressed, Twitch continued to, become the main focus, and vlogging and YouTube kind of took a back seat. And that's kind of where we're at now. Is Twitch is my main thing. I stream 40 to 45 hours a week, but I still put up one vlog a week. So I still vlog the highlights and the big
mhm.
moments of our life.
oh my gosh. I remember meeting you at Guardian Con Disney,
Mhm.
and you were walking around and you were vlogging, and then I remember in our you were staying in our hotel room, right? It was me,
Mhm.
you, Mitsu.
Snackless
Somebody
and her
else?
husband.
Were they in our room?
I think you stayed with Snackless and her husband, and then
No, I shared a room with Mitsu.
oh, it was Mitsu. It was Mitsu. Okay.
But anyway, I remember you doing that, and then as soon as you came back, like, and everybody was ready to hang out, you were like, "Hang on, I gotta edit this," and you were just at the table editing for a couple hours, or not a couple hours, actually, you were pretty quick with it. And I was like, "Dang, that's dedication. I don't even know how to edit one video, let alone quickly." But you
I,
had explained that this was your job, like, that was more so your job, and it's neat to see you shift.
Yeah, and then doing it every day. That's the thing too. I got really good about doing it every day. I'm so sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's construction work going on in my backyard. I might have to tell them to stop. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. I was
Good.
wondering because I watched your latest vlog yesterday, getting like ready for this, and I was like, your backyard's gonna look awesome. And then you're like, they're coming back, and I was like, oh, hopefully it's not during stream. Don't worry. My lawn's supposed to be mowed today, so we might have like a weed whacker by
Great.
the window here in a minute. Anyways,
Lovely.
it's fine. If we hear, we hear. If we don't, we don't. All more for our editor to have to deal with later. Love you,
We love
Steve.
sound.
So being a parent in an industry, especially one where you're live like this a lot, there's lots of sacrifices. You either have to give up like something on your kid's side, or you have to give up an opportunity at the gaming side. And I think all of us have that kind of situation. So I think if we each just kind of go around and talk about a time, I'll have Sam, you go first, and then Clintus, you'll go next, and then I'll go last, of a time that either you've had to sacrifice as a parent or you had to sacrifice as a streamer, or maybe you have an example of both. But it's always interesting to see what it takes, because I don't think a lot of people realize the things you really have to give up as a parent to do this job.
Yo, and that's the biggest thing, is that people don't understand the amount of energy that has to be split so many ways for us to be professional and also parents, proper parents. However, I think things like that I've really had to sacrifice was always my time. So for streaming, I initially didn't start streaming until like 7:30 p.m. at night, because my son, I wanted to spend all day with him because I was a stay-at-home mom at the time, so that he could get mom while dad works. And so he would go to bed and I would start up my stream, and I'd stream for like 3.5 hours. And as like time started shifting, he got older. Then I was doing 2 streams a day, one while he was at school and then another one after he went to bed, so that I kept that night crew. And so I was sacrificing a lot of my free time, like of taking even just care of the house and stuff like that. And that's whenever I then was like, okay, I need a cleaner, because like if I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna make this my career, because my husband's still working full time and he's the breadwinner, like I've got to take care of things at home. Um, so that was always a journey, and now I'm here in the mornings. My brother moved in with us. He's basically our lovely Manny. So that's been quite nice. It it's all over for parents differently as well, because it depends on if you have a partner, or if you have a roommate, or if you have the access to someone to help you take care of your child so that you can do content creation, because the internet doesn't stop for you. You know, you've got to find what works for your family so that you can still be a part. I mean, unless you don't care to be a parent, that's on you. But I love it. And even now, since I have shifted to being the breadwinner of my household, I have sacrificed so much more time with my son than I care to admit. It bothers me every single day. And even last night, I had so much work last night that because I streamed too late and I had stuff I had to do. I didn't get to see my son yesterday at all until I was putting him to bed. And he was like, "Mom, I didn't see you today." And I was like, "I know, buddy." And that sucks. That really, really sucks. But I have to provide for my family too. And those are sacrifices that I currently have to make until things are better. So if y'all watch parents who stream, just know they doing a lot. You see what you see online, but there's a lot behind the scenes that's tugging us. So yeah, those are a lot of my sacrifices.
And just what about you? What's a
Yeah.
situation on either end that you can think of?
For me, my kids play sports, or at least my daughter for now. My son kind of gave up the basketball. So for me, again, didn't have to sacrifice a whole lot for kids. I definitely gave up more on the streaming side. Fortunate enough that between YouTube and sponsorships, whether it be long-term partnerships or one-offs, did well enough that I could skip a day from streaming, this and that. Even now, as streaming is my main source of income, I'm still good enough that if like yesterday, I took a day off yesterday just to get to-do lists done. I'm so sorry. That is so annoying. The biggest thing was when I go to conferences. So a lot of like PAXs are like 3-day weekends. And so 3-day weekends, my daughter would have volleyball tournaments. And so that was probably the hard part for me in the early days, was like, oh, she's got this big 3-day tournament. The travel ones are usually a lot of fun and there's a lot of stuff going on. And so that was rough. Be like, well, in the early days, it was like, I need to go to all these conferences because it's the only time to network and to meet developers and see my friends and that sort of thing. And so it wasn't until the later couple of years where I kind of pick and choose, like, okay, I won't go to this conference because that's a big tournament. I'll go to that tournament and watch you there. But I'm going to miss this one because there's a conference over here, that sort of thing. So I think I'm very fortunate, very lucky that I haven't really, I always put my kids first and my family first. And even to the point where some people are like, there's a philosophy out there of like, how much time do you need to give your kid for them to feel that you are giving them attention? It doesn't necessarily need to be all of it. It doesn't necessarily need to be like drop everything all the time, every time when the kid needs you or wants you. There's that balance.
Yeah.
I think because we're self-employed, we make our own hours, make our own time. We are able to move and shift things around. But at some point, it becomes like you're on a schedule, right? We have schedules for our streams, and our audience and community look forward to that start time. And so I think after a while, when streaming became my main thing, it was like, okay, these are my hours. So there's gonna be days where things are planned and I can't go to the game, or I can't go to your practice, or and the kids, again, my kids are older, they're teenagers, so they understand completely. And they're also not to the point where they need me all the time. even the vlogs, I talk about the vlogs because a lot of kids watch our vlogs. It was a family channel for many years. And now the kids just aren't around anymore. They're not in the vlogs nearly as much. And I always say, well, my kids aren't like, 5-year-olds playing matchbook cards at my feet or going, hey, dad, let's play ball, or hey, let's go to the park. Like, it was almost easier to vlog when they were little because it's like they were so easily entertained. Like, we could just go to the park and play at the playground for an hour, and I can make tons of content, like going down the slide, going on the swings, like making a sandcastle, playing tag with them. Now my kids are like, they get home from school to grab a snack, and it's off to the bedroom to play video games or watch Netflix, or like my son, because where we live now is so close to his school and his friends. He won't come home for like an hour after school because I'm going to go to the park and hang out with my friends, hang out at the basketball courts, that kind of thing. So they're around less and less because they need us less and less. They're self-sufficient, self-entertained. Technology, the way they live nowadays. My son plays video games every day, but he plays with his friends every day. He's in a group chat every day with like at least 2 or 3 friends. When we were kids, we had to go to our friends' houses and sit on the couch next to them and pass the controller, so definitely a different vibe for sure.
I think for me, the biggest sacrifice is I didn't stream for almost a year. Thank you, COVID. For us though, a lot of the time it's Ben that's doing all of the sacrificing one way, either for us or away from us. Something that's coming up soon is, if you guys have been around, you've heard the story that this last November, my mom, who is adopted, found her biological family through DNA testing. And she got to, was it even this last year? No. Was it the year before? I don't know. 2020 happened.
What?
Somewhere in there, my mom found her biological family. And she's having a big family reunion where she lives. Big as like there's going to be 10 of us or so this summer. And we were all excited. We have a house on the lake that they're renting that we can all stay in. And we get to meet everybody. And they obviously all get to meet us. And then Ben got an email for an event that he was very looking forward to that happens to be on the same weekend. And it's a once in a lifetime event. Like, it's not like you could just push it back or be invited another year. And he just sat there and he's like, what about your mom's reunion? I know it's super important to her. The funny thing is he found out the day that she showed up after me not seeing her for a year and a half, a couple weeks ago. So like, she was so excited to see us, so excited to talk about the reunion this summer. But then Ben had to pull her aside and tell her that, like, I have this situation. What should I do? My mom is the most supportive and understanding person in the whole entire world. And after she heard what the event is, again, sorry, I can't talk about it. But she said, if you don't go, I will be mad. And he's like, but this is so important to you. And she's like, just FaceTime us or something when you're there. Show us the cool things that you're doing so I can show you off to my new family. Like something like that. And he's like, okay. But there's been definitely times where Ben's missed out on something big, or he's missed out on something big at home because he had to go to an event when he was doing casting for Fortnite for the World Cup that whole entire summer in 2019. He was gone 2 to 3 weekends a month out to Burbank for a couple days and then come back. And so we'd miss him practically every single weekend. At the time, though, Charlie's 3. So, he didn't really get it, but he did get it. It wasn't as huge of a deal for us compared to when he's in school and he's doing the sports and events and stuff like that. Ben's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And even now he's starting school in the fall. And right now, Wednesdays and Sundays are our days off. We split them up just so, you work a few days, take a rest day, work a few days, take a rest day, versus grinding it out and then taking a long rest. He was like, what do I do when Charlie starts school? Do I still keep Wednesdays? And that's just a day you and I can actually hang out for the first time alone in 5 years. or and then just only have one family day, or do I take Saturdays and Sundays off and Wednesdays? Do I like we don't know yet. And that his night streams have been sacrificed continuously since Charlie was born, because it's always when Charlie went to bed. Now Charlie's going to bed later and later and later. That means that Ben cuts it, or he just stays up later and later and later. We used to be in bed by 11, and now sometimes it's 1 a.m. we're going to bed because he's still streaming in the evening. And he's like you, he streams every single day, and he streams in the evening. He streams about 60 to 70 hours a week. And it will be interesting as Charlie gets older. And I actually really like that we have kids that are in all different age ranges.
Absolutely.
Because it's interesting to see how we're all adjusting. And I look to Sam and Clintus. I look to you guys as like, what do I have to look forward to in the next few years? And how are you guys handling it? Maybe I can pull something here and there to figure it out beforehand.
I feel like it gets easier.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Actually, you go first, because it sounds like your construction's done.
I told him to wait. I ran out there real quick and told him, I said, give me some time.
Okay.
I was just gonna say something. You said something earlier, Sam, about Charlie going to school, and like you look forward to the next year, and like you're excited for him and the things. And I'm very much that parent. I've never been the parent that's like, I wish my kids would stay babies forever or slow down. They're going too fast. Like I said, my daughter's 16, so she just started driving. And she has her and her boyfriend about to hit 1 year. They've met at school, but because of COVID and being stuck at home and only being able to FaceTime, they were just friends. He was always interested in her, but she didn't really kind of have those feelings until conversations started and the feelings kind of formed. And they're adorable and they're such a great couple. But like I look forward to those moments with my kids every year. Like every year is a new opportunity. My son will be in high school next year. Like I'm looking forward to him going to high school and experiencing school with his sister. And so I definitely look, forward to every year with the kids getting older and experiencing this as well. With social media, because like even like my daughter, she has a YouTube channel and she posts on social media. And like yesterday, she wore one of my hoodies to school, and she like posted this photo of like, rocking my dad's merch today. You should too, wink. And I'm like, oh, my kid's wearing my own merch. Like I didn't tell her to, but she just did it. I love it.
Proud
Charlie like exclusively wears "This Shirt Saves Lives" from St. Jude, King's Coast Coffee shirts, or Daddy Work shirts. And he has one rainbow shirt that he wears. Otherwise, the rest are all streaming shirts.
Love it.
Every single time I'm like, hey, King's Coast, Charlie needs a new size. And they send him like 5. And I'm like, no, I meant like 1. And same with St. Jude. And every single time there's a new kid shirt out, they're like, we sent this to Charlie. And I'm like, stop. Literally, they probably think that my kid only has 2 shirts because they're all various forms of gray, black, or like a tan color. But they're all the same thing on them.
Right.
It's so good.
Goodness. But what I was saying to you, Sam, so if there's like any advice that I could give as Charlie gets older and when it comes to creation, is it does get easier, because as Clintus was saying, they become more independent.
Mm-hmm.
Like Leif, he gets bothered occasionally because mom is working, but he's in such a good age that he is entertaining himself. Like there's moments he don't want to talk to us. Like he gets like,
Exactly.
no, mom, it's fine. Like Clintus was also saying, Leif is also in video calls with his friends. Like he has them up on his iPad, and it's like they're streaming to each other and they're all playing on their Xbox. Like, did y'all see that one? Like looking back over his shoulder at his iPad. So it gets easier.
Mm-hmm.
It's nice now having a schedule, because you don't have to worry too much.
I've always wanted to be a mom, and I think I'm a pretty damn good mom. But I just don't have like that desire to have babies around all the time. And I look forward, like I enjoyed Charlie as a baby, but I am so excited to like take him camping and show him all the cool things and have him experience the world and stuff like that. And yeah, I'm just
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get to remember those.
How has being a parent made you a better streamer? Or has it?
Kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my mods would attest that when we first started, definitely we've adjusted as we've continued to make Twitch. We've kind of tried to age up our audience on Twitch, because again, YouTube is very kid orientated. My my YouTube channel is family friendly. I do not swear, cuss. If something happens in the background, it's beeped, or I completely cut it out completely. But it's been family friendly since we went daily, because again, it was more like a family channel. On Twitch, I do say some adult words from time to time, especially when playing video games, and it's just a live reaction, because I do talk like that normally. But being from corporate world for almost a decade, and I know when to say certain things. I have a bucket of patience for kids. Being a parent, that people come to the chat room and say things or start a conversation, and I'm okay with letting it roll, and like I'm sitting here having a conversation, whether it's defending myself or defending like my job, and like how streaming is a real job, and or kids want to come in, and all my mods are all in chat.
Yeah, I was like, your mods are supporting you thick.
Yeah. So they just buckets of patience of letting kids in chat kind of almost dictate the conversation, because I'm like, A, I'm trying to educate them, or B, I'm trying to inform them as well as everyone else that's watching or listening, that this isn't exactly how it is, or this is what it actually is. And it's gotten to the point where my mods were like, you got to like limit yourself, or limit the time that you're giving this one person, because you're taking away from the overall content. Everyone else that's here that doesn't necessarily want to watch you parent a kid that's not your own. So I think I would say it definitely made me a better, like I said, I have more patience than most people. And other people have learned to have more patience. Like, wow, Clint really, took the time to talk to this person. So they're helping me, I'm helping them. And I just think that it made it in the early days a very welcoming community. We still have some kids in our community that are very supportive. They're there every single day, ages 14, 15, 16. And they know, their parents know that sometimes the humor might be a little bit more on the adult side. And I have one kid specifically, he puts me on in his speakers in his house sometimes, and his mom's like in the kitchen, and I'll say something and she'll like yell at him like, take that, okay, take it off the speakers, like you got little brothers or something like that. So I think just realistically, I think it made me a better streamer because of my patience for the internet. I just have a lot of patience in general for people, whether they're kids or not. Someone comes to chat asking a question, I'll have a conversation with them. I'll pause the gameplay, go to full screen cam, and we'll have a discussion about something if they really want to know. Then you realize they don't really care to talk about it. They're just being a troll, and you're like, okay, well, thanks for that moment.
Yeah.
We love a good troll. Yeah, I relate to that a lot. I'm also a very patient person. My community is quite family friendly, because in my life I'm quite family friendly just naturally, so it's very natural for me. And I like to nurture a community where like there's a lot of kids that have grown up in my community and now they're in college, and I'm just like, weren't you just like 14 like last year? And they're like, no, I've been here for 6 years, Sam. I'm 20. I'm like, when? Stop that. So it's been really nice to see that kind of age up. However, whenever I do need to, switch things over, because whenever I co-stream with anybody, I take off family friendly, because I do not want anybody to ever have to change for me. And so what I'll do is I'll tell my community, be like, hey, if you are a parent who has their kids in here, now's not the time. Or if like they usually are, they're tuning in every single day, or if they don't care to hear potential like language or lewdness, because like I have fun with my friends whenever they get bonkers. So I'm like, yeah, no, keep it coming, maybe it'll break me out of my little shell. So, but it's always fun. But it's definitely taught me, I didn't know that I could learn more patience, but I definitely did, because starting with streaming, I took everything to heart. Anything a troll would say, like it would eat me up. And now I can handle it. I'm like, okay, all right, let's talk for a second. So growth has definitely happened with that. But as I was saying earlier, time management, that was good. I know my schedule and I stick to my schedule, because if I don't, things get chaotic in household and on stream. Yeah.
For sure. For us, and I'm mainly going to be talking about Ben, just because I kind of mimic myself off of what Ben does. That being a parent, again, patience. Definitely, for sure. I have more patience than Ben for some people in stream. But I definitely, especially for him, he's able to have dad chats and educate people on certain things, or just how to have internet etiquette. I feel like as a parent, if people are coming in and being trolly and stuff like that, that's our opportunity to just show internet etiquette. And I guess I see a lot of parent streamers not so much gets past them. Right? Like we're all just a little bit more noticing on what's going on in chat, and trying to keep the peace and trying to, maintain. I think that's like the perfect word for parenting, is just maintain. That's your job, what you're supposed to do. So I definitely think that being a parent has made me a better streamer, that you know how to bring people in, but then you also know how to check people too. Which kind of leads me to my next question, with things that has been kind of like a hot topic in streaming recently, is whose responsibility is it to maintain what is being viewed or created on Twitch? We recently had, man, it was quite a few months ago, but Ninja Tyler said in an interview that it's not his responsibility to teach these kids how to act or to patrol what they watch. But is it? Is it Twitch's responsibility? Is it the parents' responsibility? Is it the content creators' responsibility? I don't know. I think everybody, honestly, it needs to be a trifecta of things. But what are your guys' feelings on that? Of whose responsibility is it to patrol what we create?
Sam, would you like to go first?
Sure. It's a fine line. It really is. Because if a child is coming into your, say you have like an 18 plus thing on, they have to click on that. I feel like at that point, that's not your responsibility. Like, you are obviously putting a wall there to protect the adults in the end. You're not there to protect the kids. You're trying to give people a space where adult chatter can happen. And so that should not be on the streamer at all. Because a kid was like, I'm 18, we've all done it, don't lie. So anyway, but yeah, that shouldn't be the streamer's issue. If there's somebody like me who has like a family friendly filter on practically all the time, and if things are outside of the realm of family friendly, I feel like I have that responsibility then, and I need to control the content that I'm putting out there, the conversation that's going on, while also being mindful that there's tons of age groups in my chat, because we want to keep things like, I am an adult and I do like to talk about things. However, you're not going to hear like F-bombs and stuff going all the time, because I need to remember that I have kids in here. I have parents with their like 3-year-olds in my chat, because they just like hanging out and seeing the cursed stuff I have in my background. So that's always fun. But it depends. It really depends. I don't think there's one answer at all. But if y'all have any insight, please go for it.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Everything you just said there. There's certain parameters, tags. Twitch gives us a few tools, such as the 18 plus filter, our prompt, and then the family friendly tag. And like I said, then you're putting it out there that this is what the expectation is. If they go further or they choose to be there, that's on them. I think overall, the parent should know what your kids are doing. In general, as a parent, you should know what your kids are doing. And then also your kids should know what they're okay, like what you're okay with as a parent. Again, I put a lot of trust in my kids, because I feel like early on, I set expectations and I had rules. And, one of the first rules right away was, do not lie to me. If I ever ask you about anything, just be honest with me. If you're doing something you're not supposed to, just own it. Because if I find out later, it'll be 10 times worse if, I find out you were lying to me. But Yeah, I mean, in general, I mean, again, we were all kids, so we know that there's going to be some bending of rules. There's going to be some peeping over the wall that maybe they shouldn't be looking. But in general, I trust my kids, but also my kids also know, because I do this for a living, I'm pretty savvy with tools. And one of the rules from day one was I have access. I have passwords, for in case they lose them or need them. I have the safety in a one password in vault. But also, there's always the possibility of me checking on them. I would say it's gotten a little looser with my daughter as she's gotten older. But for the most part, I have a lot of trust with my kids on, what they're watching, what they're looking at, what they're doing. There's been some surprises. Again, my daughter's getting older and she's in high school. And so there's been some shows, especially the streaming services now. Like there's a lot of shows out there that she's just going through Netflix or HBO and lands on a show and then watches something, and you find out later you watch that and you're like, doesn't that have this in it? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. Like when my wife found out that she watched the show and she watched it, she's like, oh, I'm gonna watch that show. And then she watched, she's like, wait a minute, you watched this show? And like, yeah. And for her, she's just like, yeah, it's fine. And she's like, okay, like that just happened. So now she knows what this is and what that looks like. And
oh no.
So there's been some moments like that, but again, I think it comes back to the type of kids we're raising, and what they do with information and what they do when given access to something. It speaks a lot to us as parents of, how we are and how we are around with our kids, and what those expectations are.
For sure. I agree with everything. I do think though that if it's a little bit more on the platform as well to uphold what they're giving us, to make sure that the family friendly tag is being used correctly, to make sure that they aren't letting things land on the front page that should not be landing on the front page. And the way that Twitch is saying that they're fixing that is that you can right click on a stream and say, I'm not interested in this. And then it will go into the algorithm to not put it onto the front page. But there has been too many times that things have shown up on the front page that should not be. There's a couple times where it shouldn't be anywhere on Twitch. Let's just talk about that. We don't need to be seeing porn on the front page of Twitch. But to be honest, if I had a 15-year-old kid, boy or girl, doesn't matter, they go to twitch.tv and they're looking through the carousel, they should probably not be seeing somebody riding a banana in a hot tub. Do hot tub streams. I don't care. Putting that out there. I don't care. Do hot tub streams. Put them in their own category because they're sitting and just chatting. And again, you can see preview images, especially for curious kids that are at that age where, things are starting to change in their body and in their brains. They see that, and you want to think that you raised your kid to, not click on it. But their hormones are probably a little stronger than your words in the back of their head. They're going to click on it. So I definitely think that there should be, Twitch needs to do something more than putting the accountability on the people that are watching, because that's what they've done so far. With a situation like that, just my opinion, but I do believe that it 100% is on the parents to maintain what your kids are watching. Have Absolutely. Open conversations with your kids and check in on them and stuff like that. You're not being nosy. You're literally just wanting to make sure you're raising a good person. So Absolutely. If they're watching people that are throwing the N-word and swear words and being bullies and stuff like that over and over and over again, you probably need to have a conversation about why they find that so entertaining, because there's got to be something more than that. Parents need to parent. There you go. So I don't really think 100% outside of the 18 plus and the family friendly tag, if you want to use it, that it's on the content creator. Granted, yeah, I would rather not have anybody that's, being homophobic on Twitch and throwing around the N-word and stuff like that. But there's going to be people that are out there. Can Twitch stop them from doing that? technically, yes, right?
I mean,
But
Twitch
are
can do
they
anything they want, really.
Trying
are they
to.
going? Yeah, there's literally a line in Twitch's TOS that they can ban you for no reason and they don't have to tell you. They can just ban you because they want to ban you. And they do that to save themselves. So that way, if there's something that happens elsewhere or whatever, they don't even have to give a reason. They can just be like, well, peace out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
think
definitely
there's-
think that 100% of the parents, that the creators, if they are going to create a certain kind of content, they need to stick to that content, or they need to give fair warning that that content is changing. Ben used to have his After Dark streams. Sam, you take off your family friendly tag when you're playing with other people that aren't family friendly, which I always think is a really cool thing, that you definitely put a disclaimer out there before you switch over. I always appreciate that, because Charlie and I watch you. Charlie loves watching you play Sims and Animal Crossing and stuff like that. And so when there's stuff that like I know you're going to be playing with other people, then I'm like, okay. Even watching Ben, like we have to turn the volume down on some stuff. But I think there needs to be a lot of accountability as well on the platform. So
I think that's exactly its expectations. When you flip like a TV, when you flip to a certain station, you know what the expectation is of what shows you're going to see on that station, right?
mm-hmm.
And then, depending on the station or the time of day, you'll get that, TVMA, parental discretion is advised. They give you that warning ahead of time, and you're like,
Right.
oh, time to change the channel, like you said, like ahead of time. Whereas Twitch, it's very much again like the internet, right? The Wild Wild West, and it's very hard to limit that when Twitch is a platform, and then there's individual channels where the content is on, right? And so I think further filters and further diversifying what shows where, like you said, what's on the front page versus what's not, is the only thing that Twitch can do. But again, it goes back to the parents and the kids of like, what are they looking for? What do they find entertaining? Like you said, like what is it they're seeking on the platform?
Right.
So yeah, it's definitely it's a balancing act for sure.
You know who I think has done really well in the past for switching over to content like that is Cartoon Network and Adult Swim.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like there is a disclaimer at the beginning of when it switches over to Adult Swim. All branding has switched over. There's no commercials that are even representing Cartoon Network at all. And before every single show, and even in between, they have like moments where it's just like a picture of a waterfall, but it says Adult Swim. And then they go into their content. So like
Nickelodeon did that too with Nick at Night.
Oh yeah. And I mean, even like Cinemax and then Skinemax, like they had specific. We all watched Skinemax when we were younger. Okay, everybody knows it.
I never did.
Never did. No. I snuck a peek once. But that clear cut, like this is the time. And it's the same. I definitely think that isn't 100% on the parents to, give that clear cut. It is on the parents to make sure that their kids are watching at an appropriate time and stuff like that. But who knows if that will follow through, right? We could just be loud and that's it.
Yep.
Well, then, I guess after all of that, what is a piece of advice that y'all would give to parents either wanting to stream or already streaming that, maybe could use some advice on anything?
I would say the best thing is to find your balance. Don't feel like you have to adhere to someone else's schedule or I see this parent or streamer streaming this amount of hours, this number of days, these times of days. Like everyone's schedules are different, especially when you have children, whether they're playing sports or have extracurricular activities, depending on the type of schooling that they're in, the kind of needs that they have. I mean, there's obviously kids that have special needs and require additional support. So don't try to compare yourself to others, or try to fall in line and follow someone else's footsteps, so to speak. You got to find your own path and your own schedule. And because we all say that consistency is key when it comes to content creation and creating a community and an audience, is that consistency. So find your consistency if that's 1 day a week or every other day or only 2 hours a day every day, whatever that is, find that, because balance is important. As we know, as parents, even people who have full-time jobs and are still parenting, and then trying to squeeze in content creation as well, like you're really balancing and juggling. Find your balance, find what works for you. Don't feel bad if you try something and it doesn't work out and you have to change gears and change your schedule. Especially when you're first starting off, because relatively speaking, your community is going to be smaller, and it's going to be less people for you to have to worry about, and it's easier to communicate. Like if you usually have 10 or less viewers, and it's easier to let all those people know, like, hey guys, my schedule is changing. We're trying something new, trying something different. It's easy to get that feedback as well. So yeah, I would say just find your own balance.
I definitely agree with that. I also think that streaming as a parent needs to be as fluid and flexible as being a parent itself. That things are going to be constantly changing, and you can't control it. And it's okay, and it's 100% okay. I think a lot of people, I mean, you've seen so many people hide that they were parents for the longest time because they're afraid of what could happen, or they might lose viewers. You even see it that people that where they become in relationships, but they hide their relationships forever because they don't want their stream to die because they're in a relationship and stuff like that. And I always say that when life changes, just let it change, because you're then eventually going to find that new community and those people that are going to appreciate you for the life that you're in. You don't need to have a fake life to succeed at streaming, right?
Yeah, no, that's actually something that I tell people all the time. Just anybody in general wanting to start stream is cultivate the community you want to follow you years from now. Because, well, it makes it easier, so you don't have to do it later.
Yes.
So I started family friendly and very open about my marriage, and the people that find out that I'm married and leave, well, they weren't there for me in the beginning. So
Right.
Anyway, it didn't matter. Like you're obviously not there for the right reasons. Bye, see you later.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's something that I would also advise parents, aside from balancing, because balancing is a huge thing. Like having a schedule is really, really, really important. But, and I know it's so much easier said than done, don't be afraid to take time for your family. It's really difficult to do that, especially if you are the one providing and streaming, and that's where balancing comes in. But if you have the ability to be there for your family, especially if you have young kids, this is just my mama side, just spend some time with those babies. Like, they will turn into the best humans the more nurturing they get. So yeah, but I think balancing comes down to all of it for parents. Like we know what it's like.
Yeah.
Sacrifices are sacrifices. Find what is more important to you to sacrifice. And good luck.
Good luck.
It's wild.
What's real quick? So we talked a little bit more about parenting and streaming with that. What about just being a parent with kids that are interested in video games? Just a real quick, I know we're running out of time, but do either of you have advice for if you have a kid that is interested in gaming and they might not know to like what to do or how to get into safe gaming or watching stream?
I don't really have advice, so Clintus, you could do that.
Well, yeah. So again, my kids are older, and my son is definitely following in my footsteps, so to speak. He's always been a gamer. We early YouTube videos on my gaming channel were videos of him and I playing like Ninja Turtles, or him and my daughter playing Minecraft. They'd be on my my setup and the making Minecraft videos and stuff like that. My daughter started a YouTube channel. She was 12, which is technically a little too young, but I maintained everything for her, and all she did was edit. I taught her how to edit, and she did her own videos. I taught her how to do everything else. I had all the filters set up. She never saw any of the really bad stuff or anything like that. Everything got held for review. And so she did really well. She's, made like unboxing videos and art videos. She's an artist. She's very talented with drawing and painting.
I saw her latest painting that she did of like Stitch as Mickey or something like that.
Yep.
And I was like, that's so cool.
Yeah, she does. She does amazing stuff. She's a reference artist, so
Mhm.
she looks at things and then recreates them in her own, style and image. And whereas my son, so she's been doing the YouTube thing. She's been kind of taking a break for now, just because she's high school volleyball boyfriend. Didn't have a lot of time. She's kind of fallen out of love with that. My son, again, very kid orientated channel. Everyone's like, Bryce should have a channel. Bryce should have a channel. Bryce should stream. Bryce should make videos. Last year, he kind of came out of the blue and said he wanted to start streaming. And so we set up his Twitch channel, and he streams 2 days a week, and I moderate for him, and he's really into it. He's he only does 2 hours a stream twice a week. So it's very minimal. But he is a gamer, and he's really enjoying the streaming. He's kind of come out of his shell. Because tends to be more like his mom, is a little more on the introvert side, but he's getting comfortable in his space and doing his thing. And it's really awesome to watch him kind of start to go down that path. But the game choices are very similar to mine. He likes the shooters, plays a lot of BRs like Apex Legends, and played Fortnite for a long time. So he's definitely he's a gamer, but for the most part, the games he plays, very kid oriented, teen. He plays a lot of teen games, I would say, not necessarily as much mature. But even earlier on, again, I think he knew right and wrong, what was okay, what wasn't okay. Like GTA was not a game that he was allowed to play until just recently, and even then, it's like the first couple times I watched him play, it was like racing only, cars only. Don't go exploring.
Don't go talk to some ladies on the side of the street.
Exactly. And so, and the bottom line is, he knows that if I pop into his room and he's doing something he's not supposed to, he loses his controller, he loses his internet. Like, he knows. So, I'll just pop into it. It's a quick knock, and especially because he's the boy. I'll just walk in. I'll just knock one knock, and I'm walking in. So you better not be doing anything you shouldn't be doing. Playing something I shouldn't be playing. So yeah, I'm probably a little more on the looser side than some parents, but I think it's also because my kids have grown up with this. I've grown up with this, with social media in general. Like I said, 15 years, so to speak, with doing all this stuff. Whereas a lot of parents are now getting into it right now in the current climate of things. So I think that's where maybe I'm a little different than some parents.
Definitely. And real quick, I agree with you that, if they're not doing something that they're supposed, or if they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing, and you catch them, it's done for. That's how I was raised. I had freedom to do whatever the heck I wanted to, as long as I let my parents know where I was going and what I was doing and who I was with. If they ever found out any different, I was grounded until I graduated, and I knew that my dad would follow through with that. And so I got up to trouble and stuff like that, but nothing that would actually get me in trouble. And always never lied to my parents about it, because I knew, like I said, we lived out in the country. So it wasn't like I could just walk and sneak out of the house, because literally there was not a house for another mile and a half away from us. And it definitely was, that's how we were raising Charlie too. But for parents that aren't sure about gaming and stuff like that, I definitely say just sit and watch them. Ask questions. You might think that gaming is a waste of time and that it's silly, and that I say silly because we can't say stupid in our house because Charlie says it's a bad word. You might think that it's stupid. You might think that it's going to rot their brains out and stuff like that. But actually sit and watch them. You said both of your kids, all three of your kids, right? They're talking with friends the whole entire time. It's a social thing the whole entire time. And so I definitely think that it's just sit and ask questions and watch, see what they're playing. Try it once. That. We ran a little over time, but Clintus, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. Can you let everybody know where we can find you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, doing this a long time, very fortunate that everything is just Clintus. So Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, it's all just Clintus. So very simple to find me, and I usually have the same profile picture and everything. My channels are my logo, and then my profile is like individuals or my photo. So it's very easy to find me.
Perfect. Well, thank you. And thank you everybody for listening and watching The Magic Word today. And we will see you guys all next week.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.